Well, that was interesting. So a woman came in and I proceeded to take care of her, and she said, you came up on my FYP. I checked out some of your videos. Now, I've had this happen before because I talk about so many different topics and genres. I talk about recovery, about the occult. I talk about having a child that has autism. Blended families, putting your life back together after things that are not your responsibility happened, and also by your own hands. I talk about running businesses, starting businesses, food. I talk about everything. She said, I said, oh, that's so cool. Thank you. I do want to ask you a question, though. Okay, of course you do. She said, don't you think that with all that's going on in the world today, that would be more signs that Jesus is coming back? And that you should be ready. And before I could answer her, she said, I watched a lot of your content that has to do with debunking the Bible, so to speak. And she said, a lot of your points did actually make sense. She said, I did agree with the fact of people being so hateful toward people for pro-life, pro-choice, when in the Bible it does show that God was pro-choice and choosing to whom he wanted to take out. And then I went to say something else, and she cut me off, and she said, and I also did agree with the fact that when you teach your daughters that something that happens to their body naturally deems them as unworthy or unclean or despicable does set up a psyche of low self-esteem and devaluing their self as they turn into young women. She said, but all in all, it is still the Bible. When I am at work, I conduct myself the way that I am paid to do so. I don't have an opinion. My opinion is to take care of the customers that come in, and that's my job. People tell me all the time how they feel about politics and religion, just randomly, even what is going on in their life. Very weird some days. People come in and have arguments while they're ordering their food. Very personal arguments, my dad. And I don't get paid to intervene. I don't get paid to have an opinion. I work for a company. When I agreed to take this job as a district manager, that is my job, and I will do that to the best of my abilities. I am the type of employee that I want in someone else. Period. I've always lived by that. I am the type of manager that I want as an employee also. And I don't know how to answer this on the book. And I said, well, since you brought it up, actually, if you take into account how many times the Bible has been rewritten, if you take into account how many times that it's been rewritten throughout history, for example, suffer not a witch to live, they use that word because of the time in which they translated it. And she said, I've given her much to think about, but she would continue to pray for my soul.